Ladies and gentlemen, ATDF everything in that shelf presentation. You're now rocking with TDF everything. Spoiled rotten.
Spoiler alert.
Welcome back, everybody.
Hey.
It's me, Daniel,
And this is Ben
on Spoiled Rotten.
on that shelf.
Boom. The revisiting continues. We are almost at the end of the Infinity Saga with 2018's Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
We are recording this before we see the sequel, so don't worry. I mean, I don't think this will come out before the sequel episode comes out, but still, don't worry. We won't be able to spoil the second movie. Even if you're listening to this after the fact, because we haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, and that's just our cue is if you're big fans to listen to this one first and then listen to Wakanda Forever.
You don't have to listen to this first, but if you haven't seen the second one yet, don't worry, because we haven't either by the time we're recording this.
Right. Well, that's our that's where we are in the recording aspect of it. So this came as a great revisit at a great time for a lot of hype. So this is gonna be a good episode for sure.
I mean, I hope so. I hope we have something to say. I think this time around, I didn't change how I feel about the movie. I just got more mad at two groups of people. There's the group of people who are like, yeah, that's just a fun Marvel movie. And then there's the Killmonger had a point though, so like this is bad of Disney to make him the bad guy. Those two groups were very present with me this revisit.
Really? Why was that?
I don't know.
It just stood out to you, eh?
That I was like, oh, both groups are very wrong.
Oh, I 100% agree. But I haven't really heard much from the it's a fun Marvel movie. Or I guess like
people say that dismissively. I don't think they actually mean it's a fun Marvel. I think they're trying to downplay.
Oh, I see. Downplay its importance and I see. Yeah. That crowd is not a fan of that crowd, but I have less to say. I have less to say about that crowd though.
I don't know how you felt this time going through it.
Well, I definitely in my opinion, if it didn't change, I was just looking for more details that I didn't get the first time around, because I just feel like this is one of those movies, the more I watch, the more different things like the culture of Wakanda stands out, as its own character, versus the first time around, much more present for the characters themselves. But now looking at more how the border tribe and how the river tribe and forest tribe and all that kind of stuff, how they all are represented by their warriors and all that kind of stuff in the first scene, and just all of the culture actually mixing together when you're actually in Wakanda on the street level. Those are little details where I'm like, you know what, the slowdown, or whatever you want to call it, not the action parts of it, is just so much more storytelling than the action parts for me this time around.
Nice. I think it is a truly well-made movie. I've been on different podcasts. I've been on this podcast saying why I think that, but if you've never heard me say it before, I am a big fan of the idea that moving forward with a movie or a TV show, that you actually have some kind of thesis. Doesn't necessarily mean that you have to prove it. It's more just that's what every scene is built off of, and that's what makes something cohesive.
I think back to the episode that we recorded about what was that movie, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, where they're basically putting the first kind of the through line of the movie very, very front and center, right? In this case, it's like dealing with more of the aftermath before Shuri just puts it literally there. Just because it's been done one way doesn't mean it can't be done better. And the through line of that through this movie is just absolutely fantastic, because you see literally every scene that represented. Truly,
I feel like there might be a scene that doesn't represent, but I don't think there is. And I think that almost every character has to reckon with that idea. Like either they're promoting that fact or they're pushing against that fact. I think even in the fight scenes, it plays out. Like for me, it was always the last one. Like T'Challa keeps trying the same thing against Killmonger until he switches it up, and that's what ultimately kills Killmonger. But I recognized it through so many other like fight scenes as well. So like the action is also woven into that idea. And I think it doesn't make a movie great just because it has that one idea that you can see and everything. But what it does do is give you clarity and something to hold on to. And then when other things are explored, so just because something is working doesn't mean it can't be improved. That is literally what, as you said, when Shuri says it, talking about tech. But the fact that this movie is so based in the diaspora of Black people, and so you could have someone like Killmonger who was raised in the States by in this case a fictional African nation, but an African immigrant parent, and just that concept of like the battles they're having of like, you really should come to Wakanda, and him being like, why would I do that? Like, just because you guys think it's great doesn't mean I would think it's great. Like, maybe we've got it better here, or maybe you guys are the ones who are lost. Like, you get to have those deep conversations that goes beyond, oh, that was just a fun Marvel movie. That actually speaks to the nature of being a parent alone, but also when you actually have that divide within a family like that, where it's like you have come to a different country and your kids have a different frame of reference of what normal or what good is. And that plays in like, that spoke to me the most the first time I saw this movie, which is those were conversations I've had with my mom. Like that's not like that wasn't like such a far off concept to me, and I don't think that's exclusive to Black people, but because it was made by a Black person about Black people, I felt it that much more. And I think that you can even for the crowd of Killmonger has a point. He says things that are right, like in the States we don't have what you have, so we never are able to get something off the ground. We can't push back the way you can push back. That divide right there, like being a North American Black person versus an African Black person, and feeling that removal from your homeland and stuff like that, all of that can't really be put under, oh, that was just a fun Marvel movie for me. And it makes it more than just an action movie. It makes it more than just, oh, I didn't really like the CGI at the end, because like you're dealing with such deep concepts and rich expressions of those concepts that makes it such a well-made movie to me.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. It's just the depth of character growth for everyone throughout this movie, except, well, mostly like the villains, obviously.
Well,
but
no,
like
the growth is for T'Challa. Like I genuinely feel like that this group wasn't really that big of a deal to me, but there are
right,
people that are like, oh, he doesn't do anything all movie, but I'm like, but
that's not
he's a
true.
better hero for it.
That's not true.
He's actually collecting information and making a decision that fundamentally changes everyone around him. Like, it's not like, that's been my thing as well. Is like, he's not like Batman where you're like, oh yeah, he beat up the bad guy that one is going to go to Arkham and break out the next time we need to see him. This was a fundamental, like, no, I've broken the borders and we are no longer a secret. This is a fundamental change.
Yes.
It like, obviously we watch further movies and like maybe they shouldn't have done that, but realistically he made the right choice to make an outreach and help people like him across the world instead of keeping it all to himself.
Because I think the line that spoke to him probably most, or got to him most, or opened his mind up to that idea is the fact when Nakia says to him on the street, like, we are strong enough to defend ourselves and help others.
Exactly. And I think, sorry to cut you off.
No, go on. Yeah.
But that was the other thing that gets me about how come Disney made Killmonger the bad guy. It kind of shows your hand if you say that, because Nakia, who is a good guy, there's no ambiguity about it. She's a good guy, says exactly what Killmonger's saying. She's just not trying to kill other people to do it. She is saying, you are being selfish for holding on to this and keeping this a secret. We need to go out there and help. Exactly what you said. We are actually strong enough to go out there and fight both wars in terms of, protecting us, but helping other people who look like us and need the help.
Mhm.
And that is, and I feel like sure he doesn't explicitly say it, but that's kind of her thing too. Is like I like I could help. Like in
Yes.
her case, it's more you keep bringing me white people to save, but like she could like
Yeah.
not in this movie, but in this movie, the
The post credit
Bucky,
does
like Bucky,
basically,
we
yeah.
already know she was helping Bucky
Mhm.
because by the time she sees Everett Ross, she's like, great, another
Another,
white boy for me
yeah.
to say. So like the women in his life, other than Okoye, who I still think is a great character and a great representation of
Mhm.
the other side of it, of like, no, it's working. We don't need to improve anything.
Mhm.
Those two women in his life are actively saying the genuine part of what Killmonger's saying.
Yes.
Killmonger is a bad guy. There's no way
Yes.
around it. And it's not because he wants to free black people, because he doesn't.
Mhm.
That whole argument goes out the window when you see him burn all of the purple flower instead of giving that to everybody.
Entirely. Yes.
And the fact that he is the only black male in that movie that hurts a black woman.
Mhm.
He
And
chokes a woman, he shoots his girlfriend.
yes.
Like he has no respect, and he's specifically there to show you that because he grew up American, he knows how to do things the American way, which is buddy up to the country and then burn them from the inside out.
Right. Like his whole plan, his blueprint to like turn over a nation 100% was the American way, right? Well, like
Yeah.
when Ross like
He's
explains it and
so
all that kind of
Ross is
stuff.
so proud to be like he's one of ours. Like
Yeah.
that's us.
No, he's one of ours. Yeah. Yeah, that scene 100%. There's no argument that could be rationally made for Killmonger being a good guy in this,
No.
because the issue with this is it's not like there's already, well, he's declaring war and just giving out weapons.
But
He's not
declaring
giving out
war
anything to
on
defend.
other black people is what, because
Yes,
his whole thing is I'm going to kill anyone who would ever follow you. That's
100%.
not that's so you're not for the upliftment of black people. You're
Yes.
for the revenge story that we clearly know you're on.
Yeah, he in the scene where he interacts in the throne room, like with everyone, the big secrets revealed, like, oh, I'm the descendant of
I'm your
Njobu.
nephew, like
Yeah.
yeah, and
Uh,
I'm his cousin. I'm your nephew. Yeah,
yeah, hi auntie, great delivery of that kind of thing.
yeah.
It's his when everyone says, "What do you want?" He replies, "I want the throne. I
Mhm.
want the power." So, and in his declaration of this is what I want, this is what I'm going after. I have a right to this. That my birthright to this. Therefore, I'm going to do this. He blutters out, "Yeah, you're comfortable. Meanwhile, we're like there's a 2 billion black people out there that are suffering, and the thing he wants is not to help or
No, you're
convince
just trying to make them feel
T'Challa."
bad.
Yeah, because if like he's just trying to make him feel bad and be like, "No, I have a legitimate right to this," and all this kind of stuff. But his desire is the throne. And the
But I
first thing
mean,
he
I don't
does
even
is
really
send out
think. I mean,
weapons.
I think it's the throne because he knows that's what gets him the blue herb, and he can do whatever he wants. But
Well,
he
yeah, he
also
wants
actively
power.
says in that scene,
Mhm.
I found my dad with panther claws in his chest. You're not
Yes.
the son of a king. You're the son of a murderer. Like his whole thing is fuck your family. I like
Yeah.
you. That is his family, and he's still like, no, fuck your family. I'm gonna burn you guys to the ground.
Yeah.
That
He
the power is like. I feel like he already thinks he's powerful enough. I think he genuinely just the the more I watch the movie, the more I'm like, yeah, that's the point of showing him as a kid, and you don't connect right away
Mhm.
that oh, that's Killmonger that just had his dad killed. You just think, oh, that's
Mhm.
just a kid. But like once you realize that kid was Killmonger, like think about how his day went. He saw that Black Panther ship fly off.
Yep.
He goes upstairs. His dad is dead with the Panther claws in him.
Yep.
What does
And
he do? He trains himself to kill that family.
yeah,
That's all he cares
because
about. That's what
he
he wants to do.
yeah, because this kid, it's not like, oh my god, I'm from Wakanda. He knows that. He knows that. So it's just like,
Yeah, he's had
wait,
the conversations or whatever. Like
yeah, his
he
dad has
knows that.
talked about his home. He's talked about the sunrises in Wakanda. Like
Mhm.
he's said that in his dying scene, right? So
That's his
it's
thing. Is like, man, I spent
Mhm.
this whole time hating you guys, but he was right. This is beautiful. Like he
Yeah,
could have been enjoying this, but
yeah,
that was never really on the plate for. Like that wasn't really on the agenda for him.
yeah. No, it wasn't, because he was just so blinded by his own hate and his own self, like the need for power, that power hungriness. Because he had the power, you're right, which is why he basically wins the first trial.
Yeah,
He basically wins it. So they prove, yeah, he's well powerful, but he needed the resources, and that's to carry out the rest of his
Again,
plan
I
for
really
global
think it
power,
was.
right?
I think all of that was just to deplete their resources. I don't think he actually was amassing power for himself. I think he was just depleting Wakanda's resources because that was his whole thing: is fuck this place, fuck this family.
Right. So you don't think he was actually trying to send weapons internationally to?
He can, but I don't think like I think that would just be a nice byproduct is that he would have people loyal to him around the world because I think realistically as he said like I'll kill anyone who has any loyalty to you. I'll kill like
Mhm,
anyone who looks like you.
mhm.
Like nothing about him is I'm going to do it better or I need this
No.
power to, it's just I'm going to topple that place because
Yeah.
fuck them.
It's my way or the highway. And that can't be a good guy. Just because he's lacing in elements of
He's an
truth.
interesting character. I loved
Oh,
watching
100%.
him.
Yeah.
I think he's one of the better MCU characters,
Mhm.
but he's not a good guy. And
No.
he's also not the only one talking about liberating black people. You
Right.
just liked that a black man was saying that, which says
Mhm.
something, whatever. But like,
Yeah.
I just, I think the fact that you could ignore, I'll just give it to Nakia then. Maybe people will call Shuri a stretch. But Nakia, very, like, one of her first meaningful conversations, because I know she gets rescues in the jungle and then
Mhm.
there's like preparing for the thing. But her first meaningful conversation is like T'Challa, like, come on,
Yeah.
you're taking over now. This has to change. Like, we can't keep doing it this way. She even talks to Okoye about it. That's part of their thing. Is Okoye being
Mhm.
like, "This is just how it is. I don't know what your problem is," and her
Yeah.
being like, "Come on, you can't. You're a woman. You're a smart person. Come on, don't do
Mhm.
this."
Yeah, you're just turning a blind eye to it
Yeah.
at this point, or you're just following orders. You're part of the system and all that kind of stuff. You're not thinking for yourself. It's it's very very prevalent. You're right, but in that scene on the street level, and I love that scene so much. She is basically excited. She gets to pitch what she's been wanting to pitch for a
Mhm.
long, long time. You can tell. You can
Yeah.
tell, and it's just it's not it is the idea of like, yeah, we're helping other people because that's what good guys
That's why
do.
she wouldn't want to be a part of the Dora Milaje. She's like, no,
Exactly.
I can't be hemmed in that way. I need to be able to operate.
Yeah, and
What
I
do they call
can't
it? Like war
be
dogs? Like I have to be on my own.
right. And yeah, she has to be on her own. She's found her own thing to do, but also like her own thing is helping people. She's
Yes. Oh yeah.
using her like and all the champions, because I realized this time around I'm like, oh, she's the Force tribe champion. You know what I mean? Like all the champions that would challenge for the throne, and they like,
Mhm.
I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. Like that makes a lot of sense. But the through line here is, how would you say, because at the end of the day, you're still giving people guns. You can't argue that with what Killmonger is doing. So it's just like, is it defense or is it help? Because good guys help. You don't think of defense and give guns. You give shields.
I mean, I don't even really entertain that because I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I at no point in the movie did I think like, hey, wait. Like when we first watched it,
Mm-hmm.
I I think I saw it almost 8 times in theaters. At no point was I like, wait a minute, is he the good guy? Because it's so
Mm-hmm.
obvious that
He's
he's
so
this
obvious.
movie. Like there were people that were like, oh, this movie's anti-Black American, which I'm like, maybe that is you
Mm,
have a better argument with that because it was so clear that like he's too connected to the Americans for him to ever
mm-hmm.
be considered a good guy. Like
But
he's
mm-hmm.
he's part of that like military complex. He's gone. Like there is nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I love his opening scene about like how do you think your ancestors got it? Do you think they pair?
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. That is great stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that everything else from that point on means it's coming from someone who has my best interest as a black person at heart.
Yes. And even in that scene, I will point out, how does that scene end? Right. He kills a whole bunch of people.
Well, he doesn't, but
Well, I
the
mean, he orchestrates it. So, yeah, okay, just because he's
Claw
not
does.
pulling the trigger.
That was Claw's orchestra because he's even like, wait, why are you doing it this way?
Yes. But I mean, he hired Claw or is working with Claw. So it's just like, yeah, I
No,
approve of
he's
this.
tricked Claw, but
And
Claw thinks he hired him.
working
Claw
with and
thinks he
tricked, or
hired.
basic working with
There's a
and tricked
difference
is
if he
very,
is
yes,
playing
there's
Claw and Claw thinks I've hired this black person to do my thing for me.
fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, but okay. The biggest thing still sticks. It's like I don't know how a rational argument can be made for Killmonger being the good guy when
No,
he's
see, it's not.
basically, to your
To be fair
point.
to that group,
Mhm.
I'm not saying that they think he's obviously a good guy. Why don't people see that? They're
Right.
saying Disney purposely made the only person that was speaking about liberating black people the bad guy. So they're very aware that
That's
he's a bad guy. But what I'm saying is
mm,
he isn't the only one, A, and B, it should be clear to you that he doesn't mean any of that shit.
yes.
That's what I
It's
mean.
just because
So
someone's saying it doesn't
yeah,
mean that's what their intentions are. Look at actions, people, not words. Because
exactly.
what does he do? He kills a whole bunch of people
Hmm.
for his own agenda. That's not
Yes.
a good guy.
And his agenda is to kill more black people, to be clear.
Yes.
Yes.
That's also on the agenda, but basically, fuck it
No, that is
all.
the agenda.
And
I'm going to kill
yeah,
T'Challa and anyone who looks like him and is loyal to him. That is the
right.
agenda.
Yes. And then if his if there was truth in what he was saying about shipping those weapons internationally, I guess that would have been Killmonger's movie, but yeah, that's not going to happen because
No,
he's
I think
a bad guy.
I
He's
don't want
just
to
straight
I
up
don't
a
want to
bad guy.
paint people as being obtuse in terms of like no he's a good guy. What are you talking
Yeah.
about? I think that their frustration is that Disney, being the company they are, we all know that look how rich they are. There's no way they're
Yeah.
like an altruistic company. They're, being who they are, they wouldn't want to have a character who is for black liberation.
No.
But
Yeah.
again, that ignores the black woman at
Mm.
the center of your movie who is for black liberation and helping.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. Just because she's using different words, which is the point,
Yes.
because
She's got a different approach.
it's a different approach. It's a different
She's not as
philosophy.
flashy as
Yes.
him, but she is saying it and she means it.
And she's effective because
Yes.
guess what he does at the end? Boom.
Yeah. So that's why those two groups of people were very like present during this watch because I was just trying to be like I I just don't understand how you could watch this and completely overlook Nakia as the person, and I don't see how even
Well, I
that
mean,
conversation around black liberation
mhm.
could be ever considered. Oh, that's just a nice fun.
Well,
Moment.
I mean, the people that have dismissed it, by definition, will dismiss the whole
Yes,
movie
yeah.
and just be like, "Oh, I enjoyed these parts," and like didn't want to dig deeper there. And just I
Well, I
don't
mean,
want to say
not
anything
that they
bad
don't want
about
to.
it.
They just
Kind of
like, oh,
crew.
it's a black movie. I don't have to think about it any other way.
Yeah, or like they're afraid of saying anything to sound remotely critical about it, so that it would be
Oh, not in
remotely seen
my
as
not
offensive.
in my very real life experience. No,
I well,
there
I
was no
get that.
one afraid to be critical about it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that is the thing. Everyone did push back on it, but the people I'm saying the dismissive people are
Yeah,
most
yeah,
likely belonging to the I'm going to self censor so I don't appear this way crowd, which I get and I appreciate the self censoring because
yeah. Well, me too.
it's the better of the two. Um,
Because
but
I think
yeah,
people think they get into like if you don't like it, then people think you're racist. But like you could not like it.
yeah.
Sure, there is that option to just not like it.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never heard anyone give a good reason for not liking it.
Yeah,
It,
there's
it,
always
it always
been
feels like oh, you just didn't want to pay attention because
right.
of very obvious reasons.
Yeah, or it's just heavy bias. The reason why they didn't like it, the reasons being, oh, I don't like movies with too much CGI. Okay, well, there's your bias already. You just dismiss the
I mean,
whole
there's people who just
genre
like,
of
I
it.
didn't watch it because I didn't want to watch it. That's perfectly valid. Like,
Yeah,
just use your time how you see fit.
exactly. I'm not
Yeah.
going to tell you how to split. You have to do this
Yeah,
right
you don't
now.
have to watch it to prove you're not racist. Like, if you think like, you know what, superhero movies not for me, I didn't watch it.
Yeah.
And I didn't watch any of the Marvel stuff, then
Mhm.
that's another conversation that I don't even really care to have. But that's not what I'm talking about.
Exactly. It's just the people that did watch it, and it just they're choosing what to engage with.
Or just people being like, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe that got nominated for best film," and I'm like, "Well, what would you put there?" And they're like, "Well, I haven't seen it, but I heard if Beale Street could talk is good," and I'm like,
What?
So
But I haven't seen their
without
first.
seeing the movie, and it's another movie with black people, so clearly you're not racist because you know how to swap out one for one. Um, without seeing it, you know for a fact like
Oh
that
my
deserves to be
God.
there and not Black Panther.
Wow. Yeah, that's that's such a poorly made argument.
Yeah, it was a wild year that all of that came out, and
Yeah, no, I believe it. It's yeah, like myself hearing some people talk about it, they were like just looking around the room, making sure there weren't any black people around before they could actually be honest. And I'm just like, your opinion is offensive regardless of who's around you.
Yeah.
This is just, it's just like, you're not making good arguments. It's
No.
laden with like misogyny or racism or anything that I'm just like, yeah, this is why I appreciate when people don't say things. Like, just,
Yeah,
I appreciate that. Just,
you shared with the wrong person. Sorry.
yeah, it's just like other people are going to find it offensive regardless of whether or not they're black.
Yeah.
Just will 100% say that. It's that check around the room thing. Oh God, the weird as shit thing to do because all of a sudden we're safe. Come on, no,
Yeah.
get that shit out of your system.
So weird.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't believe those are the two things that were running through your mind. I'm just, well, I guess I have the ability for it to not to block things out like that while watching. Like right now, practicing more mindfulness and being present in that moment really let me like notice those small little details. So like it didn't hit me this time around for those kind of critiques, but hearing that going through your mind, I'm just like, wow, that sucks to think about. It really sucks that people would just be that hard-headed. It's
I mean, yeah, it does suck. I think that this is a different kind of movie. I don't think that it's just another Marvel movie. I don't think it's just another action movie. I think
it's a movie with a deep, deep story beyond Marvel, beyond the characters. It truly is.
Just the idea that Ryan Coogler felt that separation from his actual family history.
Yeah.
And so it's probably why Killmonger is such a well-written character, but you can see how maybe he feels he's the Killmonger in this, of like being angry and feeling left out and not knowing how to connect with his actual family and his history in a meaningful way.
Yeah.
Having that at the heart of your story, and this is the last time I'll say it, can't really fall under, oh, that was just a fun Marvel movie.
Yeah. No, it's not. No, you can say that about Ragnarok. Can't say that about this.
I don't think you can say it about Ragnarok either.
Well, I think okay,
they were
there's more justification
really,
to say that
they were
about
firing
Ragnarok.
on all cylinders for Ragnarok, Black Panther, and I like Endgame, but maybe you'll just cut it off at Infinity War. But like, I think those four movies are really well done and an actual achievement.
Yes. Okay, I should clarify. There's more of a justification to say that about Ragnarok than to say that about this movie.
Well, yeah, because people are like, oh, they make jokes or something. But as we talked about, it's I think all of Thor is about colonialism.
Yes.
Colonialism.
Yeah.
But that one is really digging into it because now you've got a villain who's trying to call out the hypocrisy of the good guys in quotation mark. More so than Loki did in the first one. But yes, I think that's why that worked well for me. And yes, I did like the humor in it. But
yeah, I'm just saying there's more of an understanding for that opinion about Ragnarok than there is about this movie.
Yeah,
like I could see why people would dismiss Ragnarok, but I don't understand how this movie gets dismissed in that way, because this is such a deeply personal movie. That what you just said about Ryan Coogler being like removed from your own culture. I'm like, well, I'm first generation immigrant here. I've been talking about going to China and just all of Asia with my mom because I need that bridge, because I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Like, Hong Kong would be the only thing close to me to understand, and I would step one foot there and be like, I don't know what's going on. This is just madness to me. Versus you could put me in Thailand, Vietnam, India, and I would be fine. But in China itself, I feel like a complete outsider. I would feel like that. And with what you just said, that through line of this movie, anyone can understand that once you see past skin color, right? Once you
Yeah,
see
which
people
people
for
aren't willing to do. But yes,
which yes, exactly. But once you're able to see this as just a human story,
yeah,
then
this
yeah.
that is very much the that's my thing, is that this movie, to not even bring up what it means for people to be able to be like, oh, I see myself on screen. Like, even if you get past that, just the actual extremely relatable thing that a certain generation of people have, or certain, yeah, well, not just one generation of it, but like a certain group of people who have immigrant parents can
Mhm.
um connect to,
Mhm.
which numbers wise would be most of the audience.
Mhm.
um that's a big deal, that you would just dismiss this movie,
Yeah.
considering what's at the heart of it. And I same people that would be like, well, I'm pretty sure Beale Street is better. That's also a movie about black suffering. Like that, I had seen the movie when that person said that, and while I
Mhm.
like the movie, it's still about a love that can't be because of racism
Mhm.
and getting put in jail and wrongly accused of something. So like, why wouldn't I want to watch black people be the heroes and triumphant?
Yeah.
Like, over, yeah, I know we go to jail a lot. Like, it sucks.
Yeah, that's oh, God.
Like,
You're right in the
I'm
sense of
taking
like
that out of
why.
the argument. I'm saying, even
Right,
if you take that very important part out of it,
right.
it is still a good movie that means something.
Yes, but I mean, the through line of what you just said is like, why wouldn't I want to watch a movie about empowerment more
Mhm.
than a movie about suffering?
Yeah.
Is just straight up true. Like, what's like, look at the rewatch time for this in theaters versus Beale for you alone. Like,
Yeah.
I'll bet the numbers don't even compare. Like,
Well, I only saw it once in theaters, but like, yeah,
that's what I mean. Like,
yeah,
and
I
you
think,
said you watched this 8 times in theaters. So I mean,
yeah,
just like
close enough to that. Yeah.
it that just speaks to the idea of like, yeah, I would want to watch something about empowerment more than watch something about suffering. Like I'm willingly spending my time and money more on watching something that makes me that uplifts me. This
Yeah,
is,
it's uplifting, but it also isn't an easy, light thing. Like, it
no,
is,
it's not.
is that what we were talking about? Like,
Yeah.
it is about that tension. If we're talking about just the black diaspora, but then generational tension as well, of like,
Mhm.
you say this is the right way to do it, but is it? And I'm not
Yeah.
saying one person is right, one person wrong, but it is that very real, um what do you call it, like, tug and pull right there,
Mhm.
that makes
Um,
this movie something of substance.
exactly. Because I'm sorry, but who wants to watch a story about any person doing the same thing that the person did before them do? Like it's just it doesn't
Yeah,
make like
you're,
I don't
I
want to
mean, for me,
watch that
I
movie.
agree with that sentiment. I'm always about, well, we're watching, for presumably you're telling this story, I'm watching this story because it's
Mhm.
about someone who's doing something extraordinary,
Yes.
even if it's just extraordinary for their circumstances.
Mhm.
I'm assuming that's why we're telling the story, or focusing on this character.
Mhm.
I don't really want to watch them and be like, yeah, 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 I procrastinate like that too, or yeah, 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 I don't really make any changes in my life just like them, so this is
Mhm.
good.
Yeah. I don't know. I just don't get that crowd because I think one of the most successful things about this movie for me is the fact that you have the villain. No, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. You have the hero of the story pushing for societal change. Typically, what I see in movies starring white people is preserving what already exists.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Or just liberation without taking responsibility afterwards. You know what I mean? This is a movie where the hero actively works the entire movie, challenging differing points of view to actually fundamentally make a change. And that is so damn important because everything else is like, no, I want to keep it this way. I want to keep it this way. I want to fight for what's mine. I want, yeah, and that's the story. But this is someone actually reckoning with differences of opinion and philosophy, like, and go like, well, do I really want to do it the same way that everyone else before me has done? when this person has made a very rational point. We're sitting on so much vibranium. We are good enough to defend ourselves and help other people.
And also just realizing like if Killmonger's right about anything, it's that their whole shit is based on a lie. Like when he goes to see his dad and he's like, oh yeah, he's kind of the truth that I chose to omit. It's like, well then yeah, why would I do it your way if your way involves killing your brother and leaving your nephew to die?
Yeah. I think the only thing that Killmonger's like real, like if we're talking about like characters changing T'Challa's path here, what he does is really, really add the element of desperation in to the actual debate that's going on. Do I help, or like do I just defend Wakanda like everyone else did, or do I help?
Yeah. Well, I
He
mean,
adds that to the argument of like, this is how bad it's gotten. This is the severity.
It's
of
so
it.
bad that I am, as a Wakandan, willing to come here and kill everything.
Yes.
That is,
mm-hmm.
yeah, it's not a mistake that he goes back to the building where our father killed our uncle to make sure that's the first place they do outreach and protect their people, even if they're outside of Wakanda or not born there. And I think, yeah, I just think that is compelling. And I think, not that we're talking about him, and I know you don't like Robin, but like that is for me the only reason to do like a Robin story with Batman is you're actually making a fundamental change of like,
Yes.
hey, you know what? Instead of having another criminal I'm gonna have to beat up in a couple of years, why don't I spend the time to actually work with this person and like put them on the right path? And this is obviously not on that level. This is a macro level. As I said, it's fundamentally changing the lives of everyone he knows, not just one person.
It's systemic change.
But that is the type of change you would want to move towards for heroes if you're going to keep telling these stories, is that they're not just, as you said, maintaining status quo by putting the bad guy in jail and everyone can feel safe again. It is seismic shifts for, even as I said, even if it's just for Dick Grayson or whatever, it is you're still making a change in someone's life.
Yes. Fundamentally.
And putting them on a path.
Yeah, and doing it on a large scale looks like that.
Yeah,
and let's be perfectly honest.
On a large scale. And it's all the better for it.
Exactly. And let's be honest there. That was his like fun king way of being like, hey, Shuri, you want to be you want a new job? Because that's basically what he did. It's like, I want you to lead this initiative. Yeah, cool. He delegated. Awesome.
Yeah, well, it's well done. Who else is in this movie? I forgot how fun Claw is. I really do like Claw in this movie.
Yeah. I mean, watching him this time around, it really was fun. It really was fun watching
because he's having a good time, and I've said that as well about like it is always nice to watch a character, and it doesn't mean that you have to like them, but it makes it more interesting to watch a character who likes what they're doing. Like that, I feel like it always. That's why I love a lot of movies about chefs and stuff. Like when you can watch someone just doing something they love doing or enjoy doing. So it doesn't have to be a guy who is trying to steal vibranium. It could just be like in the Jon Favreau chef movie, like him making a pasta for Scarlett Johansson or something. Like I'm like, yeah, I am enjoying this because his enjoyment is infectious.
Yes, I love that movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
I love that movie. I like the fact that it came out of his burnout from doing the MCU movies, though.
That makes sense.
It does make sense. He was like, there was a lot put on his shoulders in phase one, but like the like it.
Well,
it's so good that he came out with that movie. I love that movie for him.
It's a great movie, but yeah, I think Claw is great because again, he's enjoying what he's doing. I always get chills when the Jabari tribe comes out for the first time to challenge T'Challa.
Yeah,
it's so well shot and just really like right away you're like, oh shit, okay, this is a problem.
Yeah, because everyone's just like having a good time. They're like, yeah, we're here to celebrate. We're not here to challenge. We're just entertaining the rituals of the past. You know, going back to that opening scene, which is always awesome. Yeah, it really was like an oh fuck moment, especially when he got stabbed in the chest.
The fight is on its own good. I'm just saying, their entrance is amazing. But yes, the fight is great, and also is an example of just because something is working doesn't mean it can't be improved. But, like, the fact that like you could see even M'Baku being like, hmm, I mean, we have been going along with this for a while, but what if I challenged them and did something different, like shook things up a bit?
Yeah.
And even like throughout the fight, I think there are elements non-verbally of switching up tactics to like get the upper hand. But even T'Challa being like, you know what, I'm supposed to kill you, but like I could just get you to yield and gain some kind of inroads to us being a full-on nation again, instead of like, it's Wakanda and then the Jabari tribe.
Yeah, yeah. This is my olive branch, so to speak. Your
And
life.
I mean, I don't think it's that demeaning either, because what he's saying is,
Of course.
why would I kill you? You're such an important part to your tribe. Like,
yeah,
I wouldn't want to take away their leader.
100%. His words there are so meaningful. It's like, no, yield. Like your people need you. And I'm like, yeah, like that's why you yield in that situation. You tried, you did your best, you didn't get there, but you do your job again. Because I bet they didn't think that through. What happens? Because like in that situation, like you're like, we're going to challenge for the throne. Yeah, we're going to kill him. He doesn't have his root powder anymore. Okay, yeah, well, this is definitely going to win on a size battle alone. They didn't have a plan B. Who would take over?
Yeah, well,
they didn't think that through. And
M'Baku
in that moment, no, I mean M'Baku. If M'Baku died,
oh yeah, no, they didn't. I mean,
who would take over the Jabari? Like there
I'm
probably would be a thing.
He would win,
but still, like, the fact that you're a good leader, because when they get up to the tribe in the mountain, you're like, damn, this is cool. You know what I mean? Like, how
I like the Jabari tribe a lot.
Oh god, it's beautiful architecture up there. It's like, no, this is wicked. They're living good up here. Well, yeah, they're cold. It says that, but I mean, like,
it's good stuff. I guess we haven't talked about Okoye yet, who just, I love that character. Even though I don't agree with her in this movie, I'm just like, I'm happy every time she shows up. I think she's great. And I like that she sticks to her guns. Like when it's Io, right? Like, who was in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, who's like, isn't there anything we can do when Killmonger is killing T'Challa? And she's like, she doesn't say anything, but you just know, like, she's like, well, I mean, these are the rules. It's killing me, but these are the rules. He's winning the fight fair and square.
Yeah, she's serves the system.
Yeah.
It's very, very apparent, because eventually she does get on board with the whole change.
Yeah, and she never says "I told you so," which I would if I were her.
Yes, that.
By the time you get to Infinity War, it's like, come on, I told you, you fucking.
Yeah, it's like, see, this is exactly what we were talking about. Like, they never would have found us. Like, this is stupid. But the idea of like even her being like, hey, when you said we'd open our borders, this is not what I thought you'd be. Like what we were expecting. Starbucks. It's a fun joke.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to that movie. But yeah, I think Okoye, I think, is a good example of like, that's a character I respect, even though I don't agree with her in this movie. I feel like, well, you should change your opinion, but you're so dedicated, and you're you're someone who likes doing what you're doing. So I love watching you do what you like doing.
But the fun thing is, like, obviously when she starts to she serves the system, right? She serves the king. So once T'Challa is like, yeah, we're doing this, she does get on board eventually.
Yeah.
Based on how she acts and how she defends. And even like, obviously when we get to the movies, like in Endgame, like she's a part of that meeting. So it's just like, no, she's on board with the system once the rules have officially been changed.
Because that is helping Wakanda at that point. Once they're, I don't know,
100%
Wakanda that way, but that is helping Wakanda by that point in Endgame. Like, even if she's lost hope on bringing T'Challa back, it's like, well, I mean, we're part of this now. This is still us.
Yeah, we can't ignore it. They did it on our backyard. Like, that was ground zero. This movie is incredible. Who else do we have to talk about?
We haven't really talked about Shuri, but
we haven't. Oh my god, her character is amazing.
She's very fun.
She's really, really good in this. Like, I remember the first time around I watched it, I'm like, she bothers me because of because of how she she's treating T'Challa like shit, like on the first time he arrives home and all that kind of stuff, and is being disrespectful. But I'm like, no, now I enjoy it. It adds their
Yeah, it's his little sister.
yeah. I get it. I like it a lot more now. It's great.
If you have complaints, you can bring it up with Donald Glover, who rewrote their stuff.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
I appreciate his rewrites because that is really good stuff now. At first, I was
yeah,
like, she should be respectful. He's a king.
no, I appreciated that they still felt like brother or sister,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
that he used that a lot. Like when he's like, "Oh, I can't wait to see what you wear to my coronation," or like, "Oh yeah," like, and then she would use it to give it like, "Oh, like I don't remember the term she used, but like basically being like, "Oh yes, Your Honor, not Your Honor, but Your Highness," and he's like, "Stop that, come
Your
on,
Majesty or
yeah, Your
something. I
Majesty."
think. I like the fact that she rags him on being like his royal slippers
Yeah,
on
she's like,
day
"What are your
one.
toes doing out in my lab?"
What are those? It was really funny, and the fact that she was so excited to be like, "There's sneakers. Get it?
Yeah,
Get
because
it?"
you never mind.
It was so good, and like those small little details of like even when he's wearing that suit and he's running, you don't hear anything.
Hmm.
It's a great detail they put in the whole thing
They
because
stuck with it.
especially yeah, they stuck with it. It's great attention to detail in this movie for sure.
Um, who else is there? I mean, Angela Bassett's, is it Ramonda or Ramona? I can't remember the mom's name, but
Ramonda.
Ramonda seems like it's really gonna be a big movie for her in the second one.
Oh
Again,
yeah,
we have
she's
not seen it. I'm not playing
mhm,
coy. I don't know, but it
mhm.
seems like the trailers are. I feel like both trailers that I've seen, I've only seen two trailers, have given her a moment where I like almost tear up of like, holy shit.
Yeah, she's gonna have some of the heaviest hitting scenes for sure.
Yeah. Um,
And I am excited to see it because she delivers. It's
but
great.
I think my memory was like, ah, yeah, she's kind of in it. But I'm like, no, she's in this movie still. Like,
Mm-hmm.
she has a lot of great moments in this
Yeah.
movie.
She's got more to do than Thor's mom
Yes, I mean, a
in
low
like the
bar, but
first two
yes,
movies.
I'm glad
Yes.
she cleared it.
But
I'm
I
glad
mean,
she
like in
cleared it.
terms of like level of queen to queen and all that kind of stuff of like
Yeah, yeah, no, I
of
know. I'm
people.
just saying
Yeah.
that, like, yeah,
You're right, low
Thor's
bar.
mom didn't really have anything to do over three movies,
Until she was
and
actually dead. She had
and
way
then
more
in
to do.
Endgame she got to do stuff, but again, not even as much time as Angela Bassett has in this movie.
Yeah. It's yeah, Angela Bassett in this movie just she delivers.
Yeah,
There's also Forrest Whitaker,
Zuri.
Zuri.
I'm gonna
Man,
be honest with you, I never cared about this character. When he dies
yeah.
this time, I was kind of like, "What are
Yeah.
you doing, you idiot? You can't do that!"
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, it's yeah, I'm like I get it. You feel guilty. That's why you
yeah, yeah,
tried.
but like
But
I
you're a
get it. He
dummy.
loves T'Challa, and
Yes.
he feels guilt. Yes, you're right about that.
Mhm.
To me, it looked like more like out of love of like, I can't, like, this is my best friend's son. I can't
Yes.
let him. But like, I'm like, you also were really good friends with this guy's dad too. Like, I mean, I guess
Mhm.
not. You kind of just tricked him, but it seemed like you kind of were friends. But
Mhm.
anyway, the point is, I didn't. I should feel bad, but I didn't really feel bad when he died. I was kind of like, you, you interfered, and you're an idiot. You shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Didn't feel terribly remorseful.
Like the way he was like, "No, take me instead," and I'm like, "Of course he's gonna take both of you." He said that ahead of time that he's gonna kill. Like he said, "I'm going to kill you and anyone who's loyal to you." So you're not saving anybody by being like, "Take me instead," because pretty much everyone standing there is gonna get killed eventually.
Yeah, it's not like a scene in like a movie that you hate, but like The Dark Knight Rises, where Bane's at the boardroom and he's like, "Oh, I'll take the whole board," and then the one guy's like, "Nope, I'm the. You only need one. I'll go." It's not like that at all. It's so different here. Oh yeah,
I just, for whatever reason, it did not sit well with me that he intervened this time around.
no.
Like I've never felt bad ever, other than I appreciated um Chadwick Boseman's performance of seeing this, if not father figure, uncle figure getting killed in front of him. Like that
Mhm.
meant something to me. But in general, I was like, what an empty sacrifice. Like what an empty gesture. You idiot.
Yeah, yeah. I think the whole thing of I'm gonna be a hero this time. I'm not gonna stand by idly.
Hmm.
I'm gonna do what I should have done that first time around. But even then, that first time around, I'm like, no, the king told you to leave the room. That happened
Yeah.
without you in the room. So
Yeah, I mean, even you bringing that up, which probably did factor into it, I'm like, in this case, you're still picking the side of the like, for lack of a better term, aggressor. Like you're
Yeah.
picking T'Chaka's son over a thing. Like T'Chaka, it's the other guy who's been wronged in this
Mhm.
case.
Yeah, it's
But whatever. The point is, I've never really been a Zuri fan, but I love both actors who played him. So
oh yeah, no, I
great.
just love the actor, but I mean, like you're right, Zuri, the character is just like, hmm, it's not a lot going on
I
there.
think I was also like, oh, like, so I guess he's not coming back. That sucks for him. Uh, I think the
Yep.
first time I saw the movie, I was like, oh, okay, well, that sucks for him. But looks like he's getting Saw Gerrera money, so maybe he doesn't really care. But
Mhm.
I think yeah, there was Zuri. I don't know. And also, I feel like before the movie came out, initially he was talking about, and we go to space in it, and I was like, what? Why? And then I'm like, I was like, oh, there's spaceships in the movie, but like, they didn't go to space.
It's one of those things where I'm like, is this an actor that didn't care what happened in the scene without him in it? Because he's describing
I
it.
mean, maybe he thought like, because the movie starts with a comet hitting the Earth, that maybe like
Mm,
there was more to it, and they showed you what was happening before it became a comet that hit Earth. I don't know. Maybe
right.
that got, because there was a 4 hour cut apparently, so maybe all of that got cut, and he looks even
Ooh,
more.
I would like to watch that 4 hour
I
cut.
think that's an assembly cut, but people are like, no, no,
Well,
it's a real. Then
yeah.
Not Ludwig Van, Ludwig Göransson was like, no, no, I scored a 4 hour cut. So, all right. So then it wasn't an assembly cut.
Well, yeah. But I mean, want to watch it. Want to watch it.
Yeah, I would love to see more of this in movie form. I guess I would like
Hmm.
a TV show, but
That
I
would be
think
good.
I would rather the movies.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I guess the TV show originally could have been The Adventures of Shuri, but I mean, having not watched Wakanda Forever yet, we don't know if it's going to be Shuri or uh
There's no way of knowing.
whatever. There's no way of knowing, or Nakia.
There's nowhere you can look to find that answer. You
Yep.
just have to see the movie.
We're yep, and we're excited.
Yeah. So I am. I don't mean that to sound dismissive. I'm
Mhm.
genuinely excited to see the movie, but
Yep.
if
We're
people are
just
hearing
not
me
there.
talk,
Yeah.
I have COVID currently, so I don't even know if I'll be able to go see it the day of.
Mm,
So we'll see what happens.
yeah. We wish
Um,
you a speedy recovery.
Thank you. I'm gonna need all the thoughts and prayers I can get, because I really need to see that movie.
Yes. Yes, you do.
All right. Well, let's rate this again, because we have to. That's how this works.
Yep. 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 Oh God.
I'll go first. I'm still giving it a 10.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a 10 for me because I don't see any reason for it to not be a 10. I really don't.
No, I think this is it's something that elevates already pretty good material. Like I think
Mhm.
when you look at it as a whole, it's great, and then you can break it down and still see greatness. So to me, it's a 10.
Yep. This is a 10. It's a home run of a movie. It
Yeah,
can't. Yeah, it's just watching it again. I don't know what could be better for me. Everything about this movie is great.
yeah. We'll see. There's a lot.
Mhm.
It's gonna be that hard thing for a sequel to do, to like be judged fairly after a movie like this.
Yeah, I mean, that is the truth, but we are going to see what happens.
Hmm.
So stay tuned for that episode or listen to that episode. But yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, do what you want, but
it'll
just
be out
knowing
when it's out.
context, that's why we're saying these things is because we
Yeah.
haven't seen it yet.
All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for listening. We're part of the That Shelf Podcast Network with other great shows like Bad Game Movies, Black Hole Films, Changing Rails, other great shows. Go to thatshelf.com. You'll find those shows, our show, more shows. Go to tdfeverything.com/spoiled rotten to find older episodes of our show that aren't on that shelf. And we're on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Radio Public, a whole bunch of places. So please rate, review, subscribe, follow, share, all of those things on those platforms. And did I mention that you can get in touch with us via email at spoiledpodcast@gmail.com or on Twitter at TDFSpoiled? So please do that as well. And yeah, we'll see you soon.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
This has been a TDF Everything production, brah.